It's a poison. That doesn't help the stress level. No, don't do it. Get a grip. This stupid video I just showed you. I almost stroked out and died over it. You're watching a different show. It's donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. Ooh, things are heating up in college football land, baby. The Twitter streets are hot with beef. Everybody's starting to gang up against Notre Dame. Oh, it's getting real, man. Can't you feel the juice? I love it. This is what you live for if you're a Notre Dame fan. Everything's coming to a head. I'll say this. I said it before. I'll say it again. Oh, we got a good bank of early callers. I promise I'm going to get to you before an hour and a half. I promise. Here's the deal. The 80s guy says John has green on. 80s guy, you got to realize, for the last couple years, I had the green screen. And then you cannot wear green on the green screen or you will not be seen. This is the first time I've been able to wear green, and half my wardrobe's green, but I can never wear it on the show because before I had a green screen, but I'm going to try and rock it throughout the rest of the year without a green screen, so now I can wear green. Thanks for noticing. Green's a good color. Listen, things are getting hot. And what I like is only when Notre Dame starts to be perceived as somewhat of a threat or taking the toy of somebody else in their toy that they want or whatever, and then you get some heat. Then you get some anger. Then you get people lashing out. There's a lot of articles saying Notre Dame's bamboozling. The USA Today art headline was Notre Dame bamboozles the committee with helmet magic. Is what one of the headlines said. Like, so a lot of these writers, SEC shills, Feinbaum, all those people bought and paid for by the media. Always Irish Senior. Good to have you here, Pops. They're all going against Notre Dame here. How did they get in? They have this Northern loss. The schedule's not that tough, whatever. Again, for the 98th time. I don't know what Notre Dame's supposed to do to make Florida State good at football magically. I don't know what Notre Dame's supposed to do to make USC not lose 5 games. And I don't know what Notre Dame's supposed to do about Miami backing out of our football game that we had planned to play them. I don't know what you want Notre Dame to do about those problems. I'm not going to sit here and say, you're dreaming. Our schedule is super tough. I'm not going to do that. That would be intellectually and factually dishonest. And I'm not going to do that to you fine people. I'm not going to gaslight anybody and tell them that this schedule has been murderer's row or whatever. But you know what? A lot of our schedules kind of are. Can you have one maybe year where it isn't just a nightmare every week? So I'm not going to sit here and BS everybody and try and convince you that this schedule has been murderer's row. But again, I don't know how Notre Dame's supposed to make Florida State go from 13-0 to 0-13. I don't know what you want us to do about that. USC losing a handful game. I don't know. Miami backing out. They couldn't fit us in their busy schedule this year, but they want us to start there next year. I don't know what you want us to do about all that. We lined up a bunch of brand name helmets on this schedule in the back half, and none of them are any good. And one of them backed out of playing us. I don't know what you want us to do. And Adam brings up a good point. For all the people complaining about Notre Dame's schedule, you're going to get your wish because next year's is a doozy. You play every good team you play with a pulse is before the middle of October. September is going to tell you whether Notre Dame's in the playoff or not next year. Early September, the first 2 to 3 weeks of this season are going to tell you if Notre Dame's in the playoff next year. Oh, by the way, brand new quarterback, replacing a lot of guys. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year next year. That's why it's all the more important that Notre Dame makes a run this year. When you do have a schedule that's more manageable and whatever, make a run when you get a little opening, make a run. But I'm telling you, people are coming out. So you got two different things. Callers, I'm coming to you. You got two different things. One is you have the reaction to the playoff thing, and people are just all mad. And now people are starting to say, who even wants to be in a conference championship game and risk a loss and dropping out of this bracket? Who needs that? Like, I would much rather be a 5 or a 6 seed and just host a round one game and not worry about maybe going from 1 loss to 2 losses and dropping out of the whole thing or whatever, playing in a conference championship. I don't know. This is going to be interesting. People are really having a fit about Notre Dame. They really, really are. And so you have two different dynamics going on online right now on social media. One is all the people railing against Notre Dame. And think about it, you guys. It's everybody against us. All of these people have conference affiliations. They may pull for different teams, but they're all under the same ecosystem of that conference structure, and Notre Dame's not, and they don't like it. So when you end up in a position like this, it's literally the entire country against Notre Dame, because it doesn't matter what team they are. They're all conference affiliated. That's their little daddy that pays their bills and gives them the little money to go out at night and have fun. Take your girlfriend out. Here's $20. Like, that is the daddy who pays, man. And so you're getting a lot of this vitriol towards Notre Dame right now. All these media playoff shills, SEC rioters, they're on Twitter nailing Notre Dame. So I always want to go over this for people that aren't on Twitter, so you have an understanding of what college football fans are doing in that ecosystem that I think is pretty popular still. And so to understand what's going on behind the scenes there, I don't want to ever think that the people that follow me on here are also on Twitter. Not everybody is, so I want you to know what's going on. All of those writers and people are going after Notre Dame. The second thing you have is all of the LSU stuff's really blowing up. It is finally getting to them. The media, they're finally starting to understand it. They're starting to crack a little bit. I'll say this: you know how you've come full circle. You've come full circle. You've come full circle. When I can honestly say I've heard every single complaint we had about Brian Kelly from the LSU media in the last handful of days. That's how you know you've come full circle. And so it took them 3 years and all of this frustration to get here. But I have literally, if you name a Brian Kelly complaint we had, I'm starting to hear from the LSU media in the last handful of days. So I think it's finally getting to them to where they can't ignore it anymore and say, oh, you dumb Northern football people don't know nothing. If you just get the guy out of South Bend, he'll win championship. It's that easy. Just come down here and be with us. You name a complaint we had about that guy, and I've heard the LSU media talking about it. How he treats people, seeming aloof and disconnected, like it's not that big of a priority. All the political speeches where he talks a lot but says nothing. When the recruiting's going good, it isn't him. He's on the golf course while the assistants are doing all the hard work, but he gets the credit for it. There's that complaint going on. I've heard he leaves the building too early. Nobody likes how early he checks out and goes home every day while other people are in there working. The golf thing's pissing them off. Why is the offense regressing? Why? Just how you treat people, arguing with the play, blaming the players. Like, if you name it, we've heard it. So it's really interesting. And so they're starting to get frustrated. They're lashing out, and they're coming at me. They're coming at a lot of other Notre Dame writers and media people. They really are coming hard. I feel bad for SPF. I feel bad for SPF. But he's been gone since that game. Brian Kelly will break your will to exist, man. Brian Kelly will make you hate football. He has a unique ability to make you hate football. Even the LSU media people are admitting Brian Kelly's an easy guy to dislike, and nobody likes him, and we're getting piled on. Adam Dowling says AYS has come unhinged on Notre Dame fans. It was never about ND versus LSU. Correct. And I'm trying to get Blake to understand that on Twitter, and he's being intentionally obtuse, I believe. He's saying last night, I don't understand what your Notre Dame people's problem is. Why do you guys are coming at us every day, and I don't understand why. There's no way that could possibly be true, man. Like, I never had any problem with LSU ever till Kelly went there. And it wasn't because he went there. It was the reaction of the fans and the media at LSU. When we warned, you're not going to like all these things about Brian Kelly. We're just telling you, be aware what you're getting here. They all told us we didn't know anything about football. We were jilted lovers, upset and jealous that a real big boy program stole our man, and we're lashing out, and we all loved him till the minute he left, and then we turned on him. And none of that is true. None of that is true. But they had to learn the hard way. They had to learn the hard way. They thought they thought they knew they're all knowing of football because they're from down south or whatever the Mason-Dixon line is or whatever. Wrong. How about this from Jay Carr? Good morning, everybody. Last night I had to say goodbye to my dog. Pretty shook up about it and would appreciate any prayers. Here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. Now, you all remember, I spent a dozen years working for the Diocese of Joliet in the death industry. I was managing all the Catholic cemeteries in the suburbs. You got to understand, I've been around more death and I'd be willing to bet I've been around more death situations than anybody here. 12 years of dealing with everybody on the worst day of their life. I'm telling you, man, it's a unique pain when that dog dies. It's a unique pain when that dog dies. It is. I have felt sadder when my dogs have died than people that I know. And I know that sounds bad, like you should value human life, all this stuff, like more. I'm just telling you, it's a unique pain that it's just, if you're a dog person, it's a very, very unique pain. Losing your dog. And it's just kind of, it's just a weird feeling. And you kind of tell yourself, like, it's a dog, not a person. Get over it. But like, you can't help how you feel. It's just a really, really unique pain when you lose a dog that loves you. And you know what else too? Here's the thing, you guys. Here's the difference, I think. Even with like people in your life that you care about or you like, or they like you, you have disagreements, or like even people you love have done you wrong or misguided you or lied to you, or you've had a problem with it, or they angled to get something their way or whatever. That's the best thing about dogs, man. There is no angling. A dog is just a dog, and you just get what you get. And if you're good to a dog, they're going to be good to you. Like, it's just the most genuine relationship between a man and his dog. And I love it. So God bless you, Jay Carr. I literally, it is, losing a dog is just the worst. It's so unique. It's very, very tough. So our thoughts are with you. Maybe we'll get you a little candle lit over at the grotto. $20 holler from West Palm. And we can verify, by the way, that this is him. I want LSU to win the rest of their games. Let LSU know what purgatory feels like with Kelly losing 4 games a year for a couple seasons. Then when he's too old to get hired somewhere else, fire him. It's West Palm, Pat. It is. Listen, I very much understand. Thank you for the donation, by the way. I'm glad you figured out how to get a screen name and all that on there, man. You're a good lightning point on this, lightning rod on this show. It is people who say it's just a dog or actual psychopaths. Yeah, it's like, do you have any empathy or warmth in your soul at all? How do you not like an awesome dog that just like is cool to you? Right? Like, I don't know. But I'm a dog person, so I don't know. I realize I'm in dangerous territory, you guys. And Adam Dowling's been talking to me about that. Every time he sees me lash out at AYS on Twitter or really nail LSU's media on Twitter, he'll text me and just say, "John, are you jinxing us? Are you asking for something bad to happen?" Okay. And where is this Garibaldi's Tex ND? Where is that? I feel like there's those in Florida that I've been when I visit my brother, a good old Italian pizza joint or something. Garibaldi's, something like that. Is that what you're talking about? I don't know. I realize that that I'm asking for something bad to happen. Look at this. SPF's here. You're alive. We're glad to have you here, man. I mean that genuinely. I'm glad you're here. I'm here, bro. I told you that this before. Nothing happens at LSU is new. I'm just glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. You're a good dude. Glad you're here. Glad you're healthy. I want to just throw this out, and then we'll get into the rankings here. I totally understand that I'm Brian Kelly's why. That's why I almost did like 20 times. Are you kidding me? Brian Kelly. My happiness revolving around what that guy does. SPF is enough to make my hair fall out and make me stroke out like Jay Carr's dog. Anyways, Adam Dowling keeps saying, John, you're asking for some bad to happen. Why are you trolling these LSU people? We got 2 more games to play. What if you lose? What if you lose it to Army or something like that? Whatever. I understand that, but I got to take shots where I get them. Very, very rarely does Notre Dame have any leverage over anybody in college football. If I have a little bit of a window, I got to take advantage of it. As a content creator, like it's all a part of the gig, you guys. Like I got to take advantage when I can. And if we lose, then I'll take the heat. Like that's just how this goes. But I got to take a shot where I can, the way they take shots where they can. That's how this goes when you're doing this. That's how you do it. SPF says, John, until Marcus Freeman does something, BK hasn't, you have no room to talk. See, we're shifting the arguments. See, this is how I know we're getting somewhere. We're shifting the arguments and we're blending things and we're moving things around intellectually to make them line up. Okay. What I mean by that is all of my arguments about Brian Kelly were about how Brian Kelly does things, right? Or operates or treats people or whatever. Blake at AYS is comparing like Freeman's second game as a head coach to Kelly's 35 years of experience and then measuring them together as equals. Right away there's some cognitive dissonance. Like nobody can make that make sense to me that you're going to judge a guy in his second foot. He was going in about Marshall. Freeman's second game of his entire coaching career as being the head guy. And he's going in on how bad that loss is. And so you're comparing Brian Kelly losing 4 games in his 37th year to what Freeman did in his second year with a roster that was flawed that he inherited from Brian Kelly. The cognitive dissonance is amazing. You got to go out of your way to build that argument. You got to go out of your way to build that argument. It's great. It's great. Anyways, you guys are hilarious. Now it's a flawed roster. What do you mean now? That was my number one argument the entire time that whole year. Go back and look. It isn't now. It isn't now. It was always. You inherited 0 quarterbacks. What do you mean? You were going to be starting a new quarterback where that had no experience at Ohio State for their first game. That's not ideal. Brian Kelly's the reason the cabinet was empty, and he knew it and left, and he took the liquor bottle with him. The only bit left. Oh my God, I love it. Oh boy. Oh man, that's awesome. Anyways, whatever. Here's the deal with these CFP rankings. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I am not smart enough to be able to figure out. I'm sick of talking about Kelly. I am not smart enough to figure out this whole thing of if this team beats that team and this team does this team, then we move to here and then we get this. You got to be a rocket scientist to figure out the seeding and the ranking. And why do I got to be a scientist to figure out where we're going to fall? Why do I got to be a scientist to figure out where we're going to fall? This ranking seeding thing, and you're ranked here, but your seeding is here and there. And then I get because of the automatic qualifiers, but then I understand the project here. It's just, I'm not freaking out over every week. One time, wasn't it Penn State? And then for a week, everybody talks about Notre Dame and Penn State and what would happen. And then it's Alabama, whatever. Like I'm not spending 1 minute worrying about Notre Dame trying to stop Jalen Milroe running around. Like it's all going to change anyways. It's all going to change anyways. I do think Ronald McDonald, I don't recall asking for your opinion about what I scheduled to put in my program. I must have missed that, where I sent you an email and said, you're my producer. Could you please schedule out a show for me that you would like to hear me discuss? I must have missed when that happened. I can't worry about it yet. I can't worry about it yet. And it's bad juju to be talking about all this stuff and to be getting too far ahead of ourselves. Callers, I'm coming to you right now. To get too far ahead of ourselves it's dangerous. And I've had people say this. Thanks again for the donation, West Palm. I really appreciate you, man. $5 dollar from Jay Lamont. The BMO hip surgery is a big deal. There's no guarantees a 1 to 3 rounder. Think he comes back. Well, I have not considered the idea that he would come back. I just assumed he was going to go out. And then get better and train for the combine and everything and be tip-top shape and fully healthy and ready to go then. I just figured that's what he would do. I don't know. So listen, people have said to me, when I say I don't like worrying about all this playoff stuff, getting ahead of ourselves, people have said, but John, this has always happened where you still have games to play, but they're debating the playoff thing and the rankings come out when everybody still has games to play that you could lose, but you're still talking about it and the media writes about it and everything else. Here's the difference. The home game thing changes the entire discussion. That is the difference, you guys. The concept that there may be a home game in South Bend, that has changed. It's totally different, man. There are plans that have to be made ahead of time and are being made ahead of time in South Bend. Nobody wants to talk about them. No one wants to acknowledge them, but responsibly, the city and the university has an obligation to get ahead of this and prepare certain things that they've never had to before. You have to get ahead of it, but that is what's changing the discussion. That home game preparations make it feel like it's a locked in thing, and it's not. So I'm very uncomfortable with that. It's very awkward. It's very, very awkward. But that's just how it is. And so, whatever. Always Irish. It's not rocket science. The loser of the Big Ten is likely the 5 seed. The loser of the SEC is likely the 8 seed, leaving the 6 and 7 seed for Penn State and Notre Dame if we both win now. All right. Whatever. But I don't know. Are they going to penalize teams that make it to the conference championship but lose? Are they going to try and take it light on them because they made it that far? Why should they get penalized for making it and losing? But the team that isn't even good enough to make it doesn't and gets in automatically. Like whatever, man. Whatever. Anybody see Josh Pate predicting the SEC will start their own league? Go for it, man. And you guys can all convince each other that you're the only ones who know anything about football, and you can all do that, and you can just all celebrate each other and pat each other on the back and tell yourselves you're the only school that's ever played real football ever. That's what they all think. It's amazing. Dr. John, and then 480-618-716. Dr. John, welcome to the show.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Things are heating up, Doc, and you can feel it. We're getting into crunch time now with the playoff and Notre Dame's 2 games remaining. We're really, really getting into crunch time. I'm feeling the heat. I'm feeling the pressure. Everybody's getting worked up. It's getting juicy.
Yeah, I've got my agenda here in front of me, and it's pretty much yours, but I want to make a couple of shout-outs first to some of my geezer golf buddies. A lot of them are Bobcats, Montana State. They have their big game on Saturday. I ran into one of the guys yesterday at the grocery store and found out he's a big Notre Dame fan too, and he has the fight song on his phone just like I do. But anyway, the other shout-out, I talked to California Joe for over an hour yesterday, John.
Good, man.
It was, we were, thanks for getting us together. And
he's an interesting dude. He's an interesting cat. Yeah. Like the same way not in the same way you are, but like he's an interesting personality and an interesting dude. I enjoy his company.
Well, one of the things I said about Joe in the past is he he analyzes the game pretty well. I'm more, as you know, human interest rather than X's and O's. But anyway, we talked about the logistics, and if this, we realize three things have to happen: Army, Southern Cal, and the selection committee. But we're trying to get our ducks in a row. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, on to Army. This is an interesting thing. Oh, by the way, you and so many other people in chat just lambast the administration for not caring about football. Well, I got a letter yesterday from the administration. The last time Army beat us? You know when that was?
When was it? No,
I'm testing you.
I don't remember.
66 years ago.
Ooh, man, it's been that long.
I was a freshman at Notre Dame.
Wow.
I remember the brigade arriving by train on that day right to campus. Anyway, we got a safety, and that was it. They had Pete Dawkins, who I think was he won the Heisman that year. But anyway, the next time they really came close was 95 at the Meadowlands.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah,
we were 11.
I remember that.
Ivory Covington saved our.
Yeah, but and it was yes. I've seen that highlight a million times. That's the last one I remember.
Well, Covington made a hell of a tackle to prevent us from losing on that 2-point conversion. But anyway, the administration apparently put 2 and 2 together and found out I was at both those games. And they wrote me a letter denying me tickets to this game on Saturday.
Come on.
So.
Telling you,
what?
Man.
You don't believe that?
Well, but why would they deny it? Just for bad luck purposes, or what?
They put 2 and 2 together.
You're they just don't want you anywhere near it.
They don't want me at an Army Notre Dame game anymore.
I don't blame them. And listen, Doc, I got to be serious. Be serious.
Seriously now. Let's get serious.
Tell me about Army. Tell me about Army, because I'm perplexed.
Army is important to us. It's kind of like the Navy situation in a way. Navy kept the school alive because of World War II, and Army made Notre Dame football. 1913, Rocky and DeRay go in there and win that game, and that put Notre Dame on the map. So Army is important to Notre Dame football like Navy is to the school, too. So, but we don't have that obligation to play them every year. Anyway, did you see the coach's press conference? I don't know when it was, Monday or yesterday, Army's press conference?
Partially, but I was not paying extra close attention.
You get the impression this team is really well coached. They know their limits. And, of course, I get nervous about every frickin' game, but they... if they control that time of the clock like they did against North Texas, it could be a tough game for us.
Okay, well, wait a second though. Wait.
Talent hasn't shown. Yeah, go ahead.
You just brought up my main issue with this entire discussion. Notre Dame is not North Texas. Notre Dame does not have North Texas's athletes, okay? So the problem I have, Dr. John, is I want to respect them. I want to respect the undefeated record, the service they do, and how they're on a different path in life and all that good stuff. But I really do struggle when I look at this, man. They are the number 2 scoring defense in America, allowing just over 10 points a game. Notre Dame's number 3, allowing just over 11, and Ohio State's ahead of both of them. But I have a hard time gauging exactly where they fall when it's against Lehigh, Florida Atlantic, Rice, Temple, Tulsa, UAB, East Carolina, Air Force, and North Texas. I'm struggling, Doc, because I'm in between wanting to honor and respect them the real way, but also I question who they're doing all these numbers against. And so I'm trying to be respectful, but I'm not building them up like they played an SEC schedule and have the number 2 defense in America. So I'm trying to find the realities here.
Well, I think we're going to see the reality right away in that game. I think you take the ball in this game, right?
Again, I've said against Army and Navy is when I may consider taking the ball, and you got to score first, try and get ahead of them. I think these guys run even more of a traditional option output than Navy does anymore, with more motion and movement and all that. I got to think our athletic defense wants to get in that backfield, man. We have so many athletes. If you can't out-athlete these guys, I don't know what you're doing in your life.
Well, it's going to me, the key thing is going to be who is ever on that quarterback. That's going to be the key guy. One of the things that the coach said, this quarterback is really a running back. Against North Texas, I guess the last play, your coach told him to go ahead and take a feet first slide if he gets the first down. And the coach thought it was the only time in his career he's done that. So he's really a running back. Stop that guy, and I think we got to, we stop them.
Yeah, and here's the other problem I have, Doc, is the other problem I have with this is if you really think about where Notre Dame's at in this finish, there is no in between. It is either going to be complete and total success, running the table since week 2, fighting all the way back, and then hosting a playoff game and locking that in, and it's mission complete in a lot of ways. Or you're either going to lose to a military academy in Northern Illinois, or you're going to lose to a 5 or 6 loss USC team and Northern Illinois. And neither one of those are acceptable outcomes, and everybody's going to call the season a total failure. There is no in between. It is one or the other. That is just down to business. That's it. There's no middle ground here. It is going to be one of those 2 outcomes, and it's going to be way heavy and feel extreme, those emotions, whichever way it goes. We're in crunch time.
Well, I hope Friday night in New York, Freeman shows the NIU lowlights again.
Yep. They've been making the rounds. They got a highlight clip of all the bad stuff that happened. Listen, if that ends up being the rallying cry, this team and Freeman needed to lock in or do whatever they needed to do, you could end up looking at that Northern thing as a blessing, but only if you're sitting in the playoff hosting a game and you like the way that's setting up. I don't know.
Well, I get nervous about every freaking game, but and then there's I think I gave you that analogy of the 2 angels sitting on either shoulder. One of them getting way too optimistic, the other one way too pessimistic. So I'll let them argue for the next 3 days, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
and this is a late kickoff, right? Isn't it a 7 p.m. game?
I think it's 6:30 our Central, I think. So, yeah, it is going to be a night game. Have we confirmed that USC is a 3:30 window game? I think it looked like 3:30 for USC's been announced. I don't know. Somebody verify if that's true in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw 3 different times somewhere. So, anyway, playoff picture. We're probably right where we should be.
I think so too. I don't think if you're a Notre Dame fan, I don't think you could have any complaints about that at all. And your path is so much more simpler than someone who has to prepare and think about a conference championship. So like Notre Dame's path is just, there's less moving parts. You win these next 2 games, you're going to be in good spot.
Did you happen to see Pate's show on Sunday?
Again, part of it, but not all of it. I'm usually writing on Sundays. It's a busy day for me.
What do you think about his analysis of the SEC going their own way in 2 years?
Yeah, go for it. go for it. Like, just go do your own thing. I don't care. Go ahead and do it and pump up yourself. They just think so much of themselves. I respect what they are as a football conference and all they've accomplished, but it is really, really over the top with what they think of themselves. Let them all pat each other on the back down there. Go for it.
All right. Well, I've got one more parting shot, but we're getting closer. Three things have to fall in place, and we're going to get a dinner paid for by California Joe.
Hey, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. I hope we are in that position, Doc. I hope we're in that position, but I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Thank you very much for the call today, my friend.
I got one more thing. I go under the knife again today. Eyelid surgery. You know, as you get older, everything sags. So, but one of the benefits of this eyelid surgery is suddenly you look totally different. And that's going to be very helpful for me because all these wanted posters around the state, they won't do anybody any good anymore because I won't look like that anymore.
I like that. You're going to come out looking like Johnny Depp or something out of this surgery. I'm not even going to recognize you. But yeah, you're in.
Right.
So you're in Hollywood getting cosmetic surgery to pick up younger girlfriend. We get it. But honestly, good luck, man.
Yeah, right.
But honestly, good luck.
Right,
be safe and
go Irish.
Go Irish. Be safe. We'll say a prayer for you. Be safe, buddy. Have a good one.
Okay, bud. Thanks.
Yep.
Yep.
Dude, it means the world to me that this guy's going to have surgery, but he thinks to call me first. You don't want no sag and you don't want no lag, okay, when you're on this show, damn it. $2 holler from Jay Lamont, the Wells Lamont player of the game. Georgia and home. Beck is good for 3 picks. Easy. Listen, man, there is a huge... Here's the other thing. The range of thought that the Notre Dame media contingent and the fans are going to have, depending on what that first round matchup is, if you end up getting a home seed, the difference between basically anybody that's not, let's just say you could end up with some really, really good matchups favorable for Notre Dame and some that are just not. Like you like SEC round 1 would be a really tough matchup compared to some other ones. It's just, you know what I mean? Like if it was BYU or something, or like there's a huge range of outcomes depending on how this all matches up. So I don't know how it's going to go. And I see Kent saying, I'm using a bad argument about Notre Dame's athletes and Army. And he's saying, Northern didn't have the athletes to beat Notre Dame either, or whatever. So obviously that's a factual, fair point. But then I got to ask the question again is, how far removed from that game and how many games does Notre Dame have to win in a row before you start to look at that a little differently as like they've learned their lesson from that rather than I'm waiting for it to happen again? That's my question. So I'm not going to push back on Kent when he brings up that factual point because it's totally accurate. But a battle I've had in myself and my content and my writing the rest of this year has been, how many games does Notre Dame have to win in a row before you start saying they learned their lesson and that's no longer a concern of them totally no-showing in that way? And the offense was a total mess. Riley Leonard was not comfortable. They didn't have anything situated in that offense yet at all. You could argue they still don't when it comes to the passing game. But they didn't have anything going at all that you could count on. So it's just interesting. So there's a lot of meat on that bone. Has the university come out and said the game will be in Notre Dame Stadium? Pat, I can verify they're already prearranging backup snow removal. They are testing the stadium, making sure they're going to be able to have heat and power everywhere they need it. And the field is going to be warming up. Like they are already making all of those plans. So I don't think you don't need to announce that, but I have been assured they are making behind the scenes arrangements for every contingency, and snow is the number one biggest thing that they are having to prepare ahead of, whether it happens or not. Just throwing that out there from what I know from the people I know that work in the building. Okay. Dude, Ronald, I got some advice for you, Ronald. I appreciate a good troll. I'm one myself on Twitter. I appreciate a good troll more than most people. It's how I make a living. But you got to do less, but be better at the ones you're doing. You feel me? You got to comment less, but when you do, you got to make it hit harder for maximum effect. When you got a sentence for every single thing that I say, it starts to numb down the effect. So my advice would be to do less, but when you do it, hit it harder. That would be my advice. That would be my advice. People are asking why I'm green today. I'm not using the green screen so I can wear green. That's why. That's why. Jeremy says, what is it? What is it, John? Playing a Southern team at home in December? Or that's what I mean. I want to play a warm weather team, and I want it cold. I want Santa Claus going down the chimney. I want snow in the air. I want Rudolph. I want Christmas lights. I mean, I want the whole thing. You better win these 2 games, damn it. You better win these 2 games so bad. Oh, buddy. People are asking about the lamp. That lamp was acquired at an Evanston, Illinois estate sale from some old people that were downsizing out of their house and moving into like senior living or something, and they wanted to get rid of a bunch of stuff at their house. And somebody picked up that lamp for me. They were at the estate sale, and it's awesome. It's super heavy, vintage, like it's great. That bronze, it's real heavy, just classic. You know, you can't buy that online. Can't buy that online. Then get out of your basement, always Irish. Adam went to the Chappelle show the other day, and he said they made him it's one of those things where you got to put your phone in like a case, and they don't let you record anything, and they force you to put your phone in like a Ziploc thing and then put it down. I would love to hear what he had to say. 480, welcome to the show. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, John? How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. Sorry I made you wait that long. It's been a while since we talked. Really appreciate you giving me a call.
Yeah, man. I've been listening to all the shows. I've been pretty busy lately. I got cast for a TV pilot series that's going to be shooting in Arizona. So I've been really working on my character development and acting classes and things like that, man. Just kind of focusing on that right now. But
well, congratulations. Congratulations, man. I remember when you were in that commercial. Weren't you in a commercial a while ago? And I remembered that you were doing that. Good for you, man. Make it big.
Yeah. I was in a Super Bowl commercial last year. Well, when it came to Phoenix, I was in the Super Bowl commercial for the NFL on Fox. So that was pretty cool, man. That's when I told you. Remember, I told you I teased Jimmy Johnson, and I said, "Go Irish."
That's
and
awesome.
He just kind of gave me like a strange look. But,
good for
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. I'm glad that's all going well. That's impressive.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm really excited about where this team is at. It's kind of crazy, man, to think. My coach speech went viral on your show when I went off on the team after we lost to NIU.
Yep.
And who would have thought that we would
cut that up for you, man? Cut that up. That you deserved your own little episode. We cut it up for you. It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man. Who would have thought we'd be almost right back to where we were in week 1 or week 2 before the NIU? Ranked 6 in the college football playoffs, which, it shows that the committee loves Notre Dame. They value what this team can provide in the playoffs, and they see us doing something in the playoffs, man. Now it's up to us. The ball's in our court, man. And I'm glad that Freeman is utilizing the NIU loss as a reminder daily and weekly to not let up and not get complacent, because you cannot underestimate any opponent, which leads me into Army, because, this team, they understand what they have on the roster. But one thing about it, they're not going to be intimidated with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They're not. And so we got to show up, man. We got to show up and play our style of football. No, take advantage of the weaknesses that the team provides on defense and capitalize, man. When we get the ball, we got to score. No 3-and-outs, man. This team, you cannot afford to have, like last week, we had, 5 3-and-outs in the first half or something like that?
It's on
we can't have that against teams like that.
It's on my list, man. I'm glad you brought it there. It's on my list. You almost had 100 yards of penalties last week. That is unacceptable. That's not going to work against Army. You were 1-12 on third downs. That is a recipe to lose against Army and Navy. You were missing field goals, so you cannot trust that. Those are empty possessions. All of those things are symptoms of how you lose to an Army or a Navy. And I'm almost relieved. It's like if you were going to have a game like that, I'm glad they got it out of their system last week because I don't see them doing that again. But that's how you would lose. If you want to know how, that's how.
And another thing, it goes back to what Coach Saban says all the time about rat poison.
Yep.
We can't allow, and I believe that the team understands what's in front of them. Coach Freeman knows what's in front of this team, and he knows what's in front of him as a coach. Like, this could be a make or break for his life in his career, because either he wins these 2 games, and it's like it's probably one of the greatest recoveries in a season compared to what happened in week 2.
Yep.
Or you lose one of these games, and now
yep,
you're really on the hot seat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Folks really ready to run you out of the South, man. So, they have to just be focused, man. I truly do believe, though, that we'll be ready to play. I really believe this offense and defense will be ready to execute on all phases. I will say, though, man, we got to get the kicking game together because
it's rough.
It's not an issue per se right now, but it's problematic.
Yep.
To me, it's like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 7 for me, man. It's a concern. It's becoming a higher concern because I do believe if we make it to the playoffs, it could come down to a 3-point, differential or field goal in an extra point type situation, man. So we got to have some consistency with the kicking game. I understand Mitch Jeter's been hurt and what have you, but man, like, we got to get that together because that can be very crucial in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a big problem. And, the way I look at it is you either need to figure out an answer. And right now they tried 2 other guys last week and neither one of those kicks were even close. And it was as low pressure as you're going to have in a game that wasn't close at home. I hate where that's trending. The way I look at it is you may need to tell Denbrock, feel free, when we cross that 50 or whatever, you got 2 plays. You got 3rd and 4th down to get a first down. Don't even worry about it. We're going for it. Plan on having all 4 downs to get a first down till we get way down by the end zone in the red zone. And feel free to do that. And it may open Denbrock up to have more freedom with these play sequences. If he's got 2 to mess with on the back end of a series, you may have to do that because you cannot work this hard to get back in this position and a kicker blows it. You can't afford it.
Man, that would be so gut punching. That would be so gut punching, man. But I would say, man, that I'm overall really proud about the way this team has recovered. Man, Al Golden, man, we got to, whatever they got to do to keep that man, because you already know they already talking about, I saw the comment you made on Twitter when they were talking about he's one of the candidates for the Temple job. I'm like, leave this man alone. Like, I hate when Jason Garrett's on there. He's like,
yeah,
if I'm a coach out here, if I'm the athletic director, I'll be trying to get the whole. I'm like, shut up, man.
Dude,
keep marking off our.
But the other thing is, Al Golden already coached there a long time ago. We already did this. Like, we already did that. Like, he's not, it's just, we're not redoing it. I don't think he even wants that in his life. I think he's comfortable running it out here and he's got a good thing going without all the worries and BS that comes with being a college head coach. I don't think he wants that in his life now.
I don't think he wants it either. I mean, look at the way things have changed from when he was the head coach till now. I don't think he wants to deal with the hectic, situations of NIL.
Yeah, and the transfer portal. I agree. It's kind of It's almost like Chip Kelly, man. It's like Chip Kelly. He said, I don't want to deal with this BS, but I still love football. Give me something very specific to do without all that ancillary BS. You know what it is? The footballiest of football guys want to do this, like not have to deal with all the BS a head guy does and glad ending with the donors and all that, but just more, let me break down film and set up an offense or defense. I respect it. I love that.
Right. Absolutely, man. Yeah, man. I just wanted to call in, man, and say that I just really am proud of the way Notre Dame has been playing, and, you know, they've been coming out. And they haven't been just outside of, you know, and until like the middle to the end of the third quarter with Virginia. I mean, offense, you know, this team has just been, you know, blasting teams, man, and putting, you know, foot on people's necks. And that's the approach that we should have no matter who we play. So the bottom line really from this point forward, man, is how bad do you want it, and how focused and driven are you to really execute these next two games, because you got to know the Army is not intimidated. And look, man, next week I am planning on going to the USC game with my best friend. He's also a Notre Dame fan. We're planning on going to the game in LA next weekend. But
that's good, man. Yeah, you guys may have an entire section to yourself too. You could stretch out, buddy. You can stretch out, bro. You can have a whole section. I don't know how many people are going to be there. I have no idea how many people are going to be there.
If I'm not going, I'm going to take a picture where I am, man. I'll show you where I am, man, so you can see how big of an empty section I'll have. To myself.
Yeah, no kid. Tweet that. It'll be great. Yeah. Tweet it.
But yeah, man, you know, we just got to be focused. We got to lock in. And, you know, these next two games, man, the committee has shown us that, look, it's for us to fumble. It's for us to fumble. Like, I still don't understand, though, how Penn State is number 4 in the rankings. They haven't beat anybody.
Well, they beat Illinois. What it say? It's Illinois. Is that their biggest win, Illinois? Like, I don't know. They get a lot of love. They're getting a lot of love. And if you're Indiana, that's rough for Indiana because they're behind. What happens to Indiana if they lose to Ohio State? That's one of my biggest questions about these rankings. What happens to Indiana if they lose to Ohio State? Does it matter how they play, how competitive the game is?
I think that, you know, the committee, they'll look at the IU and Ohio State game and they'll measure it based upon how does Indiana look against Ohio State. Yeah. They're not going to, unless they get blown out, like 49 or 7 or 14, something like that, if it's a relatively close game, like a 10-point swing, I think the committee will look at that and say, hey, you know, they competed against Ohio State. You know, they kept it close. It was competitive. You know, offensively, they looked sharp. Defensively, they, you know, limited maybe some of the possessions that Ohio State had on offense. So that they'll look at it and say, I think this team is capable of competing in the playoffs, and they'll keep them in. They are definitely showing love to the Big Ten. Like, I mean, they're giving a lot of love to the Big Ten. So I think that, you know, in comparison to the team, the first two out, if IU gets blown out, I think they're out. Like, because they don't have any other strong.
Okay, now let me ask this. Pat put in the chat here, is there any way Notre Dame gets in with the second loss? Depending on how far up we move, if we lost again, could you stay in? I don't think so. I just think Northern Illinois weighs.
I don't think so either.
I think, Northern Illinois weighs too heavy to me on the loss side. The rest of the schedule isn't that great. And I just think Notre Dame's done. I think that is the reason they would need to drop Notre Dame. Also, you need to consider not only would the Northern loss be bad, but whichever one of these losses it would be is bad too. A 5-loss USC team or Army. Or Army, so you just can't justify it. They're done. They're done. You're out. You're going to the Cheez-It Bowl. I've been making fun of LSU fans. We'll be right next to them at the Mayonnaise Bowl. It can't happen. It just can't be. It can't be. It can't be. It can't be.
That would be. It would just be so disastrous, man. Of the season, you know.
You can't do it.
Because the thing about it is, man, is that these teams that we play next, they understand they don't really have anything. I mean, Army, they're still playing for a shot for the playoff. But if anything else, they're playing for a spoiler because they know that everybody is looking at Notre Dame as this golden child in the playoff situation because of where we are right now, and they want to be the ones to spoil our opportunity. And they know they can. They know that if they beat us, we're out. Which then both them to a definite shot in the playoff. And so, but then USC, they don't have nothing to play for outside of pride, but they know that they know that if we win this game Saturday, we're coming out there for a spot in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So their mindset is we want to eliminate that, and of course history has shown that in the history of the rivalry, there have been moments that USC has beat Notre Dame, keeping them out of an opportunity.
And if you talk to some older Notre Dame fans, if you talk to some guys my dad's age, you talk to some people that are, Dr. John's age, and they'll talk to you all about all the different years our trip out to the Coliseum ruined Notre Dame's championship chances. It's a lot more than somebody my age or younger would remember that they've blown those opportunities when they don't have things to play for. You got to be on alert for it. But it's one problem at a time. You got to beat Army first. Anything else, man? Thanks for giving me a call. Appreciate it. It's been a while. I'm glad you touched base. Circle back around.
Yeah, man. Nothing else, man. I'm just happy that Notre Dame is where we are. And like I said, man, it's just time to lock in, close out this season, and prepare to go into the playoff, man, with a new, refined, look, man. Can you imagine if we win a home playoff game and then say turn around and win another quarterfinals game going to the semifinals, which I really believe, man. And I've said this to someone on one of the boards wherever. I said, look, I have this crazy feeling that if Notre Dame gets to the playoff, we are going to make a run. I just have this feeling, man, if we just get there. Because one thing Freeman has proven, if nothing else, is that he can get this team prepared for the big game. Every game that we will play in the playoff will be a big game. There will not be no letdown, no soft competition from here on out. And I just feel like that will be the first time in my life I will feel confident that we won't get blown out and be talking about we just want to keep it close. And because that was the talking points we all had when we go to playoff. We play Alabama, Clemson, or whatever, and we're like, man, I just hope we don't get blown out. Just keep it relatively close. That's not my mindset. That's not my talking point anymore. It's like if we get there, we can compete, man. We can win the game. Yeah, I think that if it was today, they showed that Alabama we come to the South Bend. I think that we can beat Alabama.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a possibility that we can't beat them.
Yeah,
I really believe we have a chance to beat them.
Yeah, it's man, it's going to be really, really interesting. I totally get what you're saying. I just think there's a lot these matchups. That round one matchup's going to have a lot to do with this and kind of set the track here, what it's going to be, but you got to get there first. Hey, man, I really appreciate you calling me. I'm glad the acting thing's going well for you. Let us know if you're in anything that pops off on TV or Netflix or commercials or whatever. Let me know. We'll promote it. I'm glad to I'm glad to hear that the acting thing's working out for you, bro. You're turning into a star.
Hey, man, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I'll definitely let you know if anything comes up soon.
Let me know and stay in touch, and definitely give me a call before the USC game, especially if you're going to go to it, man. We'll talk about that, okay?
All right, sounds good, John.
Enjoy the rest of the week, man. What a good dude, nice dude. He's an aspiring actor, been in commercials, nice dude. Jay Lamont, $2 holler. Georgia at home. Beck's good for 3 picks. Yeah, you could... Man, if you get, it's just the draw here of like, if you get a Georgia and Alabama in round one or whatever, how different that feels. West Palm Pat, $10 holler. Not a coincidence that Army and Navy both having good years. Transfer portal and NIL has decimated the rosters of teams on their schedules. Service academies have fewer players lost to transfer. That is probably a really good point. And if you look at all of West Palm, it's actually a very good point. If you look at all those other teams I mentioned that they played, Lehigh, Florida Atlantic, Rice, Temple, UAB, Tulsa, East Carolina, Air Force, North Texas, whatever. In the modern era, if any of those teams have some really good players that are like big, could be D1 athletes or whatever, or turn into it, they usually get poached and they're on a Power 4 roster, and it hollows out those kind of second tier, third tier teams. I think there may be actually something to that. There may be something to that. Oh, Isle Podcast, I see you. I know you're struggling. You had that offensive lineman go down, and you came to the right place to ask for advice on that. You came to the right place. Tom, I want to get your Army breakdown. We're coming to you in 618 as well, and a couple calls lined up after that. But I want to hear what Tom says about breaking down Army. I think he likes that quarterback. Says he's like kind of like a defensive player that's running the offense kind of with his toughness and the way he likes to be physical. Ryan Roberts, I thought I saw him in there. I'm trying to do two things at once. You want to break down some film? I'm telling you this right now. You know what I really like in this media niche, Notre Dame's media niche? There's a bunch of different people that have a bunch of different areas of specific expertise that they do a really, really good job of. And then you build it all together and you end up with a sampling of offering something for everybody in the whole niche. Whether it be a film breakdown specific thing or like, and that's somebody's like what they're really good at, or like for me, I love that kind of stuff because I need that stuff because it's not my area of expertise. It's never going to be, and I don't act like it's going to be. So I like that kind of balance. So if Ryan wants to break down some film or talk about anything, we could do that. I swear I'm not dreaming. I saw him chat on there saying, how do you get invited on this show? I'm not dreaming. I saw that a while ago, I think. Let's see, a couple more things I had highlighted here. But I like that Pat, I just do not see Notre Dame being in this thing with 2 losses. I just don't think it's in the cards, you guys. The whole body of the schedule is not that tough. So you can't really lean on that. And you would have a Northern Illinois loss that's objectively horrific. And then you would either have a loss to, I know they're undefeated, but either a military academy or a 5-loss minimum USC team. That's rough. So I don't know. I just think you're out. And again, if you are out, ask Heather. If you are out, the issue is, again, like I'm saying, there is no middle ground on how this year's going to end. It is going to be the ultimate comeback machine from week 2, and you go crazy, and it's this rallying point and everything, and you get it ramped up, and you're going, and you're winning, and you're kicking the crap out of everybody. It's either going to be the ultimate comeback story, or it's going to be you lost to Northern Illinois and Army, or you lost to Northern Illinois and a 5-loss USC, and the whole tone changes. There's no in between, you guys. This is the real deal. Like, that's just where we're down to. That's where we're down to. Christopher with the $20 holler. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Feel free to comment. You could even troll me. Do whatever you want. I always feel bad. Indy's a fickle mistress. I'll tell you what. You know what my experience with Notre Dame's been? If you're 40, I'm 40 on the dot. If you're 40 or younger, here's your Notre Dame experience. A lot of mediocrity, a lot of average, a lot of mid, a lot of bad. And any time there were bright spots in there, if you went with it and got invested and said, hey, this is different, maybe we have a chance here, the second you even think your little Irish heart and mind, you're getting your hopes up, you just get punched right in the newts. Not Newt Rockney, in your newts. Every single time you bought into a little bit of hope, you get nailed. Every time. That has been my experience. Too young to remember Notre Dame finishing a season, winning a bowl game that instilled pride or like success or moved the needle or anything. I don't remember any of that. We've either lost the big bowl games and it was embarrassing, or won bowl games that are embarrassing to be in. There's never been one year that ends with me like satisfied with what's going on. It's rough. Rambling Ryan says, Army's only ranked because it's an undefeated academy. It'd be rude not to, but nobody believes they're top 25. Rambling Ryan, I'm really, really struggling with it. I want to be fair and respectful to what they've accomplished. But like when I look at the points allowed, and it's Ohio State number 1, Army number 2, Notre Dame number 3. 2 of the 3 of those look different than the other one, man. And I'm not trying to disrespect Army. I'm just saying 2 out of those top 3 teams look a little bit different. And I know Notre Dame has not played the best competition either. But it's It's not Lehigh. It's not Tulsa. It's not UAB. It's not Rice. So it's just kind of tough, man. John, be honest. Army is garbage. Well, I want to be respectful. Now, I don't know that. That's why this is a hard project, because I don't know exactly what the reality is. I'm admitting I don't have the answer. I don't know exactly where it is. But I struggle. There's a big balance. There's a big balance. I want to be respectful of the undefeated record in the whole military thing, but the last thing I'm going to do is get on here and build up that Army's unbeatable because of all these great numbers that they have against whatever a Lehigh is. I don't know what a Lehigh is, but they got good numbers against. Not like we can't. So I don't want to disrespect them, but I'm not going to get in my own mind that this is an unbeatable Army team. So I'm trying to find a balance. Okay. I would like to think Notre Dame's athletic defense can find a way to cause some disruption here. And I really feel like the speed of Notre Dame affected Navy in a big way. I think they got used to winning a bunch of those games. Yeah, Jason, it is good to have you back. I feel like it's been a while. It is really good to have you back. Thanks for being here. What's Ronald's question now? Do you want fries with that? What's his question now? Do you want a Happy Meal? What's his question? I'm not yelling at you, Sly. I'm yelling at Ronald's whole shtick. What's the question? You want to supersize me? Son of a buck. What's the question? What's the question? Telling me to answer. Well, I have no idea what the question is. So somebody type it back in. Is it the one about Alabama? Is that what we're talking about? I probably wouldn't pick Alabama, but I would hope they could beat them, but I probably wouldn't pick them. I just think there's more raw talent there on both sides of the ball. I could be talked into picking them. For a home playoff game, I would probably let it be like a 3-point Notre Dame win at the end or something. I could find a way, probably. John, answer my question. If Virginia or Pitt played our schedule with the loss to NIU, would they be ranked? Said, no, absolutely not. You guys, I've never said Notre Dame doesn't benefit in certain times because of their helmet and the brand. Why is that a controversial thing? I've never said that Notre Dame does not benefit from that. Notre Dame, there's certainly times where Notre Dame benefits from that. I also think that's a reason. Follow me here, and then I'm going back to the calls. Follow me here. I also think that's a reason that Indiana isn't quite getting some of the attention because nobody's used to Indiana. Like, I think there is something to the brand name thing at certain times. So no, they wouldn't be the same. Like, it's one advantage Notre Dame does have. I'm not going to apologize for it. Ronald, how about that? It's one advantage Notre Dame has, and I'm not going to apologize for it. And here's the other thing now. Ronald's saying this is why everybody hates us. Here's what I'm going to say, though. You got to earn that status. That's the thing. It doesn't come out of thin air. It's not like Notre Dame and that dome just dropped out of nowhere in the middle of Indiana, and suddenly you got a bunch of football respect. You got to earn that respect, and Notre Dame did it. Before I was born, they did it. They earned that respect. They earned that people looked at that gold helmet. None of that was given to us. Notre Dame earned that. So that's where I'm going to push back on this. You got to earn your way to be able to have that kind of credibility where that gold helmet moves the needle. And Notre Dame's done it, just not since I've been alive, which pisses me off every stupid day. I'm telling you what, when I picture Ronald McDonald here, I literally picture a dude like in his boxers with like a stained white t-shirt and the clown cut like the hair and the shoe. And I just picture somebody sitting like on their bed in like their mom's house. And they're just like waiting every second, whatever John says, he's got something, he's tweeting it, readjusting his red hair, and he's sitting here typing. I just picture somebody in the full clown outfit. Oh my God. That is so funny. Tom, what's going on? Break down the reality of this Army game. How do I respect the matchup without instilling fear in the Irish faithful?
Well, hey, first of all, just quietly say a prayer for Ronald McDonald, because the poor bugger, he's here to troll and buck balls.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let him do it. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know, because like you said, and very much so. Notre Dame, whatever they get this year, they will earn.
Yeah.
And it will be earned in the playoffs. And whether he likes the fact that they get there or not, or what their path was, who cares? You know, I mean, it doesn't matter. So I'm looking forward to them taking care of business Saturday. Now, Army does pose an interesting threat. I mean, they've got an interesting defense. That 3-4 defense with a lot of nickel packages in there. They're disciplined, right? But Notre Dame's interior the two guards, Strauss and Spindler and Pat Coogan, should blow them off the ball. And if I were the offensive coordinator, I would let Jeremiah Love and Jardanian Price run the ball 15 times each.
Yep.
Then you take Riley Leonard, do a little RPO, some play action, throw to the tight end over the middle, but run the goddamn ball down their throats, because they will not be able to stop it all game long.
Yeah.
They should be able to open up on them. I mean, obviously that quarterback is something else. He is a linebacker and a halfback speed, and he's tough, and they are disciplined. You got to give them credit. I always respect the opponent. And it is a tough game to play considering the time of the year. And thank you, Miami, for giving us this quandary of a problem, because it is hard on the linemen to play this game, especially when they still chop block, just like Navy did. People argued with me and said, they don't chop block anymore. Bullshit. They chop block. Within the rules, they chop block. And it's tough, and we don't need any more defensive linemen going down. God knows that. So that's why this is a tenuous situation, and I get nervous about it, because if they're not healthy going into the Coliseum the next game, it's not going to matter what happens in the playoffs. They got to win Saturday, and I want them to be healthy for Southern Cal. Then, I believe it was Andrew said earlier in the chat, that this is the preliminary of the playoffs. This game and the Southern Cal game are warm-ups, because we don't have a conference championship, right? So these are the biggest two ball games Notre Dame's played since 1993. Think about that.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line. Tom, there's a lot on the line. There's no in between, man. I do not see any path for Notre Dame with 2 losses this year to make the field. This is either going to be the greatest comeback we've seen or a major letdown. And I want to have a healthy respect for Army, but like you mentioned, man, the athletes. And listen, Jeremiah Love is usually the best athlete combined on both teams every week anyways. It should stand out even more in a ball game like this. Find ways to give that guy the ball and let him out athlete some of these guys.
That's what and see, I just don't understand, and they should have done it last week more. But if you noticed, they got cute. Every time they got cute trying to throw the ball on first and second down, it backfired on them.
Yeah. When
they could have run roughshod over Virginia in the second and third quarter, especially. Once they started to take control physically. I mean, I rewatched the game, and I saw that Billy Schrauth and Pat Coogan really played well. And actually so did Anthony Knapp. He's an animal on the running game. Pass blocking, that's where he lacks a little bit, but he is a tough kid. And they have that little extra gear that you need. So that's what I would do. I don't understand what Denbrock is trying to do on throwing on early downs, especially when you're at midfield and you've got a team like Virginia. I mean, let's face facts, their defensive line was pretty good, and you got them on their heels. So let's just run the ball, throw some play action. We have some big plays, but let Love and Price eat on Saturday and then take the victory home. If they don't do that, then, I'm nervous because of their ball control,
Yeah.
It's, and again, the lack of, you get in the red zone. Army's very tough in the red zone. So you get an opportunity to score. You run the ball down their throats as much as possible and get in that end zone as many times as you can, because you don't want to leave it in the hands of our kickers.
Yeah. It's man, you definitely can't leave it in the hands or feet of our kickers. That's for sure. Yeah, Tom, there's a lot on the line. And you know what, man, it's all setting up too well. I'm calling it the Battle of the Bronx, and it's the first leg of the Rockney road trip. Like, this is all building, and there's a historical tie-in. And Yankee Stadium, it's not the original Yankee Stadium, doesn't have the same feel as to me. But like, this is all building into something, but only if Notre Dame wins these 2 games, or it's going to be all for nothing. But I feel this energy building again. Tom, there was a lull in the middle of the year when we were beating these teams that are not that exciting on the schedule.
Right.
There was a lull in the energy. And even with the national media with Notre Dame, there was a lull. It's all building to a crescendo now, and everybody wants that spot Notre Dame's occupying in these playoffs. You can't give it to them. You got to win out. There's no other path. That's the only way.
Hey, did you watch the college football game playoff thing last night on ESPN?
I did, yes.
Okay. When Notre Dame, when they announced Notre Dame's name and where they would fall if the season ended today, did you notice the dead silence for about 2.5, 3 seconds? And then he just said, Reese Davis goes, Notre Dame and Fighting Irish are number 8. And they didn't say a bloody thing because they don't want them there. And when they saw that the matchup was against Bama, that didn't even move the needle for them.
Yeah.
Because they know that's probably not going to wind up happening. But if you think about it, you're like, wait a second. Notre Dame and Bama in the first round, that's must-see TV. That would outdraw most NFL games, playoff games. Are you kidding?
Yeah, it would be an amazing matchup. And again, Tom, the big thing.
But you know what? And it's the anti-Notre Dame bias on it's just, And I just want to prove them wrong so badly. It's why, with all the haters and the trolls on your site and everywhere else, and they just want to keep busting our chops, and Notre Dame isn't that good. Okay, all right, just tee it up. Let's play another game. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
And you know what? If they make it, as long as they stay healthy, I think they can play with anybody in the country. Whether that can beat anybody in the country, that remains to be seen. But I think. But Saturday's it's a tough climb to get through that, and then I start getting excited.
Yeah, it's going to be, man, this is what you play for, man, to be in this position with your destiny in your own hands. You don't have to wait for 5 other games to go a certain way for you to get in or whatever. This is what we all wanted. We wanted Notre Dame in full control of their own playoff destiny. Here we are, and you have 2 more games to win. So this is building, and it's exciting. And I got to think Notre Dame's defense finds a way to own the day again here and take control of this ball game, get the running game going. It'll open up the pass game a little bit. Notre Dame wins by a few scores, and then we get ready for LA. That's what I need to happen, Tom.
And I see Miami of Ohio helped us out last night by beating Northern.
You know what, man? I usually try and tune into those Tuesday night games because there's nothing else on. But when I saw that it was Northern, Tom, I changed the channel. I couldn't. I just couldn't.
No, I
couldn't look at it. I couldn't look at it. Adam Dowling was texting me, and he's like, I know you watch these Tuesday games. Can you watch this one with Northern? I'm like, nope. I put on a movie. I watched Home Alone 2. I watched Kevin battle Marv over watching Northern Illinois. I wasn't doing it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I flipped it off and I put on the movie Goodfellas just to get away from it.
Yeah.
It's a diversionary tactic.
Yeah. And so,
So,
Tom,
all right, listen, I got to run, John, but listen, thanks for taking my call and go
no
Irish,
problem. Hey,
beat the Army.
Tom, I got to tell you, man, you're creating a following here. Everybody knows you now, and they get excited when you call in. You know, you're getting into Dr. John territory. I got my regulars that have their own feel. Everybody really, really likes your participation. So stay close to the show.
Well,
You're building a following, brother.
I appreciate that, and right back at you. And yeah. Oh, by the way, tell Dr. John Godspeed on his eyelid surgery, and I owe an apology to West Palm Beach Pat, because I was a little too harsh on him last Saturday night. So Pat, I'm a gentleman. I'm sorry. I was busting your chops too hard. So
That's very, very mature of you, man. That's not an easy thing to do, and I appreciate the respect you're showing to the community here. You're a good one, Tom.
Absolutely.
You're one of my favorites, buddy. You're one of my favorites. I love you. Thank you.
God bless, guys. Take care. We'll talk to you later, John.
Yep. Have a good one. God, I love that, man. He loves Notre Dame football so much. So much. Yeah. Tell me about it. West Palm Pat is like, you want to talk about a comeback story? I'm telling you what the key is, West Palm Pat, if you're still watching. It isn't just jumping in here on the call once in a while. People seeing your name in there when you're super chatting those good thoughts, it makes a difference too. So you're really this is a good community, man. We got a new people blending in with the old people. It's really a beautiful thing. Ronald McDonald says, you guys can't handle the truth. ND is only ranked because of money. We get in and we get abused by the big boys. Here's the way I see this. Ronald, sometimes you think you're fighting me on things that we agree on. Like sometimes you think you're proving some like existential point or something when like I'm right there with you. I understand the thing of like Notre Dame gets value because of that element in the TV matchup. Imagine Notre Dame hosting Alabama in December and what the TV numbers would be and all that stuff. I get it. Okay. You're onto something when you say we get in and get abused by the big boys. Okay. In my history of being 40, you're absolutely 100% correct. Whether it be a BCS game, a big bowl game, or most definitely the playoff games, we get embarrassed and abused on the big stage, and it's really embarrassing. Okay. Facts. Undeniable fact. It doesn't matter if you're the biggest Notre Damer in the world. Fact. Here's the other fact. At some point, some Notre Dame team and coach is going to say, we've had enough of this. Like at some point, maybe I'll be dead by that time. Who knows? At some point, some Notre Dame collection of talent and coaches is going to say, you know what? We've had enough of this BS. We're not taking it anymore. And they're going to win one of those games and change that narrative. I don't think he means because of the money, Pat, but because of what the gold element represents overall. That's what I'm taking that as when he says the money. I just think the mystique and the big fan base and everything that gold element represents. But that's what I'm going with, Ronald. You're absolutely accurate about, we get in the big boys but I'm just saying eventually some Notre Dame team and coach is going to be the ones to change that. And it isn't hard because I feel like the weight and the pressure of having to do it gets harder and harder to do. The more evidence there is on the downside, the more embarrassment there is, the more lopsided losses in the playoff that pile on you, whatever. Those big stage embarrassments. But one of these teams is going to be the one that's like, we're not going out like that. This is totally different. And they're going to have a different mindset and they're going to go out there and win one of these ball games. So I'm right with you on some of the facts. Speaking about Home Alone 2, man, I'm telling you, one of my favorite scenes in the movies of all time is when Marv gets electrocuted. You can't beat it. It's the funniest thing. Pause it. When he's doing he gets the paint on him and then he gets electrocuted and Kevin's electrocuting him. He turns into a skeleton. Bro, pause it mid-skeleton. He's got a mustache. He's got a mustache. They got the skeleton. He's got the pro. Ooh, it's hilarious. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite scenes from every movie is Marv turning into a skeleton. I'm 40 years old and I die laughing every single time. It's just hilarious. He turns into a skeleton. He's got a mustache, a skeleton mustache. God bless Marv, man. And you know what else? What a good movie. Like, if ever there's a guy who should be named Marv, it's that character. It's perfect. Andrew, what's going on? I got 618 after that, 269-716. Andrew, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, John? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. After a lull, and that's what I was going to say, Andrew. After a lull through a lot of the middle part of this schedule, I feel like things are really, really ramping up and it's getting exciting. And no matter how it goes, I feel the energy ramping up and I feed off that just in my personality. I'm loving where this is trending. Unless we lose, and
Absolutely.
then unless we lose, and then it'll be the worst day of my life. You know how this goes. You've been around here long enough. Unless something bad happens, and then it'll be the biggest nightmare of my life.
How did that work out? Because I was reading that all the cable news channels, the ratings have totally tanked after the election. Does your channel tank if Notre Dame loses the big game?
Well, the way it would go is the immediate reaction numbers are the highest I'm ever going to get because it pulls in fans of other fan bases that want to see me lose my mind. So those people will never tune in after we win. But if something dumb happens, they want me to call and complain. So the numbers go up initially, but overall, then they end up kind of going back down. But you get a little burst at the beginning. People are saying they can't hear you. I don't know if you're on speaker or what.
Now I have my headphones in. I don't know what to do. I guess I'll just be quick. I'll just say that I've been very critical of Notre Dame's schedule, but at this point, it doesn't matter anymore. The committee has given Notre Dame the benefit of the doubt. They're slotted at 6, and I think that's firmly in the playoff. Obviously, you want to host a game, but in reality, we got 2 games left. We're literally in a playoff type mentality right now. I almost consider it like the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. You got to beat 2 kind of average teams, and then you get into the real deal. So it's a playoff now. So let's see what Freeman has to do. I watched a little bit of Army's highlights. That quarterback, what I feel good about is that quarterback is really tough. You cannot arm tackle him. He's not going to go down on the first hit, but he is not nearly as fast as the Navy quarterback. I thought Navy's quarterback was pretty dynamic actually. Because if he gets into the open field, he's gone. I don't think Army's running or quarterback is like that. So I think it's gonna come down to, and I think that Tim Hyde, I can't remember if he said it on his show or if he wrote it on the message board, but at some point, what Army does not have that Notre Dame does have is Notre Dame has Power 4 athletes. So at some point here, if there's one freaking game that the wide receivers need to step up and win this football game, it's this game. Because if you get D'd up by academy defensive backs, guys who really are debatable whether or not they're really Division I athletes
yes,
or
that's
not.
absolutely fair. That's not an insult. That's absolutely fair. And it's just because of what they've chosen to do with their lives. It's not an insult. That's a factual, that's correct.
Yeah, and how deep can their defensive backfield actually be? So my thought is obviously, I hear what Tom is saying. You got to pound the football and stuff, but I got to think Army is going to load the box and say, let's see if your crappy wide receivers can beat us, and we should absolutely throw all over them. And so, because I think Army's going to get their points, I really do think they're going to score a few touchdowns. So. I think Tim Hyde's right. You have better athletes at the wide receiver position than they have DBs. This is the game to step up. And if they don't step up and we win a close game, then I don't like our playoff because you can't just run the football and run Riley Leonard and think you're going to, beat the likes of Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon. You're not going to run through those things. At some point, the wide receivers are going to have to make some plays. So, yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say on it. Yeah,
it's really I'm struggling with it, Andrew. I want to have a genuine respect for Army and what they've accomplished, but it's really hard to gauge kind of their levels here. I know when we did the film breakdown on Patreon the other day. Goolsby was talking about it too, saying if Notre Dame's wide receivers can't get open and make some moves in this game, things are beyond bad. Like, so he brought that up as something to think about too. And I just think, Andrew, you've come so far from week 2, man. You can't drop the ball now, like physically or metaphorically. You cannot drop the ball now. You've come so far. Like, wear your fancy uniforms in Yankee Stadium, do all that. Just go out there and you got to win this ball game. Take control, man.
Yeah, and then I would just end on this, that did Indiana pass a law that says you can't have Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price on the field at the same time?
Been talking about it all year. Been talking about it all year. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do it. I don't get it.
They're obviously, other than Faison, I would have those 3 guys on the field. It boggles my mind, honestly, John. You've seen what this guy Mitchell can do. Bo Collins drops 3 passes a game. KK Smith is in the witness protection program. I don't want to hear any articles in the offseason about
Is Harrison your go-to guy now? Because it kind of seems like because Collins is dropping Collins has the dropsies. Is Harrison your guy now?
I guess so, especially because Greathouse got banged up. So I don't even know how healthy Greathouse is. So, yeah, I guess, which is kind of sad to say because we didn't even recruit that guy to be a wide receiver. He was supposed to be the kick returner. So listen, he's fast, so put him on the field. But I just feel like it's such bullshit. And sorry to say that, but it's such BS that the media wrote articles all offseason about how they were putting Jeremiah Love at wide receiver. And we've never seen anything like that this year. They have spread him out, and it's so predictable. They're going to do a freaking bubble screen to him. And literally, you can see the defense just pointing. They're like, yeah, it's coming. So it's just like, please, can one time you just line up your fastest guy and say, hey, just beat that corner, And he could. And then, or line him up, have so much attention to him, and then hand the ball off to Jadarian Price. It just, I don't understand it. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, Denbrock gets so much credit for everything. I just think that I grew up with, for how bad of a head coach he was, Norv Turner was the offensive coordinator for the Chargers 2 different times. And at one point he had LaDainian Tomlinson and a guy named Jamal Turner, a really good running back, or Michael Turner. And he used both running backs. He could use them effectively. And so I just don't understand how it doesn't seem like we have a good mix. It seems like he features one guy per game. So it just boggles my mind. Put both those guys on the field. They're your best game breakers. You got 2 games left. You cannot afford to lose. All the tinkering with the wide receivers are done. You got to go with your best guys. It's almost like in playoff baseball, you'll see weird lineups because you put in your hottest guys. You got to win this game. So, yeah.
Yep. I've been asking that all year. I don't know. They must have a plan of what they want to do or whatever. And I don't know. And it's a good point. And I've been asking about it too. So Andrew, I don't know, man, but I'm excited just because I'm feeling some energy here that was lacking through the middle of this schedule. Things are heating up around the country, heating up around Notre Dame, the heat on social media on Notre Dame. People, now that these brackets are getting more serious, Andrew, more people are getting mad seeing Notre Dame have one of those spots and all the hatred's coming out online. Like, I live for this. This is what I live for, is this kind of energy with, you know what I mean? Everybody hating us and having to defend us and argue this and that. And just the heat that's building is great. So you just gotta win these games.
And then think about this. I'll end on this. Think about how much on the razor's edge Freeman is. If he loses one of these next two games,
you're right.
He does not get an extension. Okay. If he wins both games, I promise you, he'll ink a new 8-year extension before they kick off in December for that playoff game. Man. That's how literally millions of guaranteed dollars are riding on these next 2 games for Freeman. I guarantee you, he's not going to overlook either one of these opponents. He's going to have his team ready. And then a shout out to Jack Heiser. He has stepped up and really taken a real leadership role on defense. It's reminiscent of past linebackers who took Notre Dame to large heights, and that's really good to say because I'll be the first to say I thought bringing back Jack Kaiser was unnecessary. But I think he's been pretty crucial from a leadership role down the stretch, and I think he's going to keep this defense ready, along with Riley Mills too. So, yep.
There you go. Hey, Andrew, thanks. And actually, your sound got better as the call went along, so thank you. But yeah, really good points on all this stuff. And Andrew, you know how I am. I'm in a good mood now because Notre Dame's okay. If we lose one of these 2 games, you know what this place is going to be like. It's going to be we're going to take a dark turn. So I'm enjoying why I'm upbeat and in a good smiling mood now because I never know what's going to happen with Notre Dame. But for now, I like the energy we have in this environment.
Definitely. Awesome. Thanks for the time, John.
No
Appreciate
problem. Have a good one, buddy. Have a good rest of your work day. Sally, Stack Daddy Seashells, $2 holler. Ronald McDon hitting too much of the special sauce. Yeah, man. Listen, I understand you need, in a certain way, I don't mind like seeing somebody push back on all the Notre Dame stuff. It's kind of healthy in a way. And I try and find the areas where like I agree, but it's being exaggerated or whatever. It's kind of healthy to have them in here. But again, I still maintain less responses, but pick your spots and then nail them and build them out a little more would be ideal trolling. I'm going to give trolling lessons and start charging people on Fiverr. So I don't know, man. Andrew is completely correct. There is no other way. There is no other way. This is either going to be an amazing comeback redemption story that ends with the home playoff game and our fan base is on cloud 9, or you're going to lose to Northern Illinois in a military academy or Northern Illinois and 5 or 6 loss USC. Those are unacceptable outcomes. Andrew is not exaggerating with where Freeman's living on that razor edge and just on the verge of just total disaster or total credibility and redemption. It is wild, but this is Notre Dame football, man. You find yourself in these spots. $5 holler from It Santino. If only Marcus Freeman would only listen to his fan base, ND would have one of the greatest offenses ever known to man. I love my Irish fans. Hey, we all got the answers. But it really doesn't make sense. Listen, I really don't understand the not doing the 2 backs. Price and Love are like the 2 most athletic guys on either side of the field most of these weeks. It just seems like it would make sense to have them both out there together. Make a defense have to worry about both of those athletes. Who's going to get a handoff? Who's in to block? Who's a dummy? Who's a fake on this play? Who's going into block and then they roll out for a pass? Who's leaking around on an end around a wheel route? Like there's just so much you could do. There's so much you could do with eye candy to mess with the defense with both of your star dudes out. I would just like to see a little bit more of it. I just would. 618, what's going on? Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, John?
The energy's building, man. You are here year round, winter, spring, summer, and fall. You are here all the time, every week. You know what I'm saying, man. There's a different energy building. This is this new playoff thing and everything. It is ramping up the energy. People are coming in Notre Dame out of the woodwork. Oh, baby, that's what I live for. I love it.
Yeah, man. Right now, we 0-0. We just got to keep winning, man. Win these last 2 you're in.
What is the appropriate level of respect towards Army? I want to be respectful of their undefeated record and the service they do for the country, but I don't want to act like they have top-end talent and you're playing a Georgia roster. What is the appropriate way for a Notre Dame fan to look at this matchup in Army?
Man, just look at it, man, as man, going in as business as usual, man. You gotta look at it. You gotta win these next 2 games to get into the playoffs, man. That's all you got to look at it as, man.
Yep.
They look past Army. I mean, we got to beat Army and we got to beat USC, man. Then we in. Then everything can play out itself, man.
Yeah. Do you agree with me that Notre Dame's out if they lose again? I'm getting a little bit. I've gotten a little bit of pushback on that. I am maintaining firm on that. with this record and whatever the losses would be, I don't see any way Notre Dame makes it with 2 losses, nor do I think they should. I don't think they should, even as a Notre Dame fan. I don't think that's in the cards.
No, it's not in the cards, man. You got to win these next 2 games to get in, man. You win these next 2 games, you got a home playoff game.
Yep, you certainly do. And then also, man, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves with Army, but then USC. USC is a weird team to figure out. And I don't want to get ahead to that game before we're there, but 5 losses. They were leading in all those games in the fourth quarter. Every loss has been by a possession or less. Now they changed a quarterback. Like, these are 2 incredibly unique games to finish out the year for. It is the Rockney road trip, baby.
Man, usually, John, man, I'm one of the ones that look ahead, but man, right now I can't even look ahead to USC, man, because we have that loss on our record, man. And if we was undefeated, maybe so, but man,
I'm with you.
Can't look past Army this week.
Yep, I'm with you. I totally understand it. I'm telling you, I want to think Notre Dame. Andrew Gilmore says, our defense is playing with a certain intensity right now. That defense is very, very locked in, and I have a hard time not envisioning them getting in the backfield and disrupting Army quite a bit on Saturday evening. That's just my inclination, my feeling, the confidence level these guys are playing with. It's not apples to apples, but they have confidence of playing a Navy team already. I really do think they're going to be in the backfield disrupting this weekend.
Yeah, I do too, but the Army is better than, man, I can't say they're better than Navy, but we will see, man. You know, I think Notre Dame win by a couple touchdowns, but man, we will see, man. You know, Notre Dame has been playing a lot better, man. They beating everybody by double digits. I mean, not just double digits. They blowing the doors off of teams, man. If it wasn't for last week, Virginia coaches calling timeout just to get that touchdown to make it look like it was really closer than what it was, man, that was another blowout, you know.
Yeah.
And it should have been a shutout.
Yeah, and what is the spread? Does somebody wonder? I think it's Notre Dame by 15 when I looked or something. Like, you're talking about maybe Notre Dame wins by a couple touchdowns, whatever. I think this is another game where you want to get ahead early. You don't want to let them get ahead early. You want to set that leverage and make them chase. And I don't think these guys throw it the way Navy does. It's much more of a traditional motion option with guys running around. Like, I just think our defense is going to be getting after it. And I think they're going to have some action behind the line of scrimmage. That's what my gut tells me, and I need it to be right.
And one thing is, man, you know, NIU did it, but NIU did it with a traditional run game, not no option. No triple option, man. You just running a triple option is not going to beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's going to be, man, this is going to be, but it's a little bit – it doesn't matter who you're playing when you're in this position. You're going to be on pins and needles, and everybody's anxiety is going to be up because it doesn't matter who it is. 2 more games, and Notre Dame has literally pulled this all off. This is going to be, it's crunch time, man. I'm excited. This is what you live for. This is what we do all this for. This is what we sit there in the middle of the summer and argue about Notre Dame for, is to get to this moment. We got to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And I think they win by a couple touchdowns. Now, the USC game, it just gives us a little bit, man, being ranked number 6, hopefully after this week, number 5, or however it goes, man, you know, I think, man, like that USC game, it give us a little bit more of a cushion that just in case we do win that game and win a close game, it give us a little bit more cushion to still get that home game.
Yeah. It's, man, I don't even want to think about us having a home game in late December. It's so perfect. This fan base would love it so much. It would be history, and you're so close. You can't. We've been here before, where you buy into Notre Dame, you get your heart invested, and then you get the door slammed in your face. This cannot be another one of those moments. This Notre Dame team needs to be the one that's different and that figures out a way to close the deal. They got to do it.
And we just look at it like being ranked number 6, man. It gives us a little bit more cushion to get a close win. and still get a home game.
Yeah.
You know, we lose, we're out. We're out. You know, is nothing we can do about that. I mean, Freeman has improved every single year, man. You know, in the win-loss column, man. You know, let's improve like by 2 games than what we did last year, man. And then next year, man, we get a bunch of momentum coming into next year. We try to go undefeated next year, man.
Well, you got a tough first half of the schedule next year. You better figure out who your quarterback's going to be. There's a lot to figure out next year. And that's another reason there's a lot of instability and things they got to figure out for next year. And you have no time to figure it out. So next year is going to be really a tough dynamic. That's another reason you got to make some hay this year while it's in front of you. So that's what I'm open for.
I think next year, man, we're seeing a bunch of guys like not Greyhouse. Greyhouse is doing. He's doing okay this year, but we're seeing a bunch of guys that's not going to be here next year, man. And you know, and one of the skill positions that you really don't have to really worry about, John, is receivers. If they're good, they're good. If they're not, they're not. You know, next year hopefully we have Cam Williams on the field. And a couple, you know, and I forgot the other guy name. And hopefully we had them receivers on the field. And whoever the quarterback is, you know, I think he should be okay, you know.
Man, I hope so.
Riley Leonard was here because of the offensive line, the uncertainty of the offensive line this year. Next year, we don't have to worry about that. Our offensive line should be a whole lot better. Jagger will be back at left tackle next year. We should be okay, man. Anything but Anthony Knapp. I don't know where he's going to play next year.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, man. There's a lot going on. Anything else? Thanks for the call on a Wednesday.
Man, all I can say is, man, as long as Notre Dame just keep winning, we should be A-okay, man.
Yep, that's it, man. Win 2 more, and we'll be here to cover it all. Hey, thanks for jumping in, man. Have a good Wednesday. Take care now.
All right, man.
See you. Always Irish. We have never been here before. Hosting a playoff game's never been an option. I think I mean when I say we've been here before, I think I mean more of, you guys can email me or whatever. Both of you guys email me and we'll get an exchange going with these numbers or whatever. I did that for Dr. John too. No big deal. Email me and I'll connect you guys. Always IrishND@gmail.com. What I mean by we've been here before is Notre Dame teams that you start to invest in and feel good about that could really change the narrative. We've been there before a bunch of times and we failed extraordinarily. And every time you get the most excited, you fail even bigger. Literally, you guys, that has been my 40 years Notre Dame fandom. The more you get invested, the bigger the letdown. There's never been one payoff. Every single season that I can remember has ended with us either failing in an embarrassing, huge bowl game where we don't even compete and the whole world laughs at us and all of America makes fun of us, or you're in a bowl game that is embarrassing and you win it, and I'm not proud of it. So there's no other way. We made the playoff 2 times. I don't know how old you are, but I'm old enough to remember what 2012 was like. That wasn't the playoff, but it was getting your hope up only to be embarrassed on the biggest stage. That's what I mean. Like all those bowl games. Like, do you remember like the Jamarcus Russell bowl game where they beat our brains in 40-something to 17 or whatever? Like maybe people are too young to remember this stuff, but I remember it. You want to talk about LSU dunking on Notre Dame? Like, I remember all this stuff. Brutal. 502, I'm talking to you.
Hey, John, thanks for taking my call.
No problem. Thanks for making it. The energy's ramping up, man. What do you make of it all?
That was good. I was at the last game, and stands were full. And, it was a great game and very exciting. It was a little sloppy here and there, but hey, we got the W. 2 things, if I could. First is kind of a housekeeping item. When Pat last show, when Pat calls in, his mic levels are through the roof. So I don't know. It's stronger than his hair dye job. He's got to tone it down, but he blows out
blowing out everyone's speakers.
Good to know.
Okay. Second thing, I just called or listened in. Is anyone talked about Army in their last game?
I have talked about Army in their last game. It was North Texas, and what was it, like 10-3 or something against North Texas? But wasn't there?
It was 14-3.
But wasn't their quarterback out or not?
The quarterback was in. He was
Okay.
their leading rusher, 160 something yards. The next leading rusher was a running back. He had an 80-60. He threw the ball a total of 4 times. That's for the whole game.
It's interesting.
He was a 50% completion, and one of those was for a touchdown. The only reason that North Texas didn't win that game is on 2 separate occasions they marched the ball down, and the quarterback threw picks in their end zone. Otherwise, North Texas should have won that game.
Interesting. So in a way, could you argue that you're almost glad they didn't? So it gives Notre Dame a little bit of a more high-profile game against a ranked team, because they would not be if they had lost that game, and that almost helps Notre Dame in a weird way to have your opponent win before you play them.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And plus, were they 19th in the CFP rankings that came out yesterday? So I think it's a good setup. I really don't think we should have any trouble with that team. I mean, they're a one-man show. You shut the quarterback down running, and it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's how
Northern.
I just really, really want to believe Notre Dame's athletic defense that is playing so well and playing with so much confidence right now, flying around confidently. I just have a hard time believing they're not going to find a way to disrupt in the backfield and throw off what they want to do. And if they don't want to throw it, and that's not natural for them, and Notre Dame's getting penetration, it should be a rough day for Army. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we should be 3-4 scores. That's my prediction. 4 scores.
And again, I still think I hold to this with these teams like this. You want to get ahead of them early, like with both the military. I think it's such a key to get ahead early, so that they're chasing you and not the other way around. And you're not letting them run 9 minutes off the clock on a 15-play drive, and you don't even get your first possession till 3 minutes left in the first quarter, and you're down 7-0. Like, I hate that. So whether you get off the field on defense first or take the ball and go score yourself, like, I need you to assert yourself early in this ball game.
Yep, agreed. All right, thanks, John. I'll let you go. I got other people waiting.
Okay. Hey,
Go
thanks.
Irish.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for giving me a call. Appreciate it. I don't know who is calling me while I'm live on the air, but it is not a good idea. Why would you do that? I have no idea. 937, what's going on? Maybe. 937, what's up?
Hey, what's happening, John?
What's going on, man? Thanks for giving me a call. It's been a while. By a while, I mean a year and a half from the last time you called, it looks like. What's going on?
Yeah, I think the last time I called, it was during the, I think we were talking about the last Louisville game, I believe, or something like that.
It's been a while.
No, I was just thinking, like, Notre Dame, this is a make or break game. Ever since NIU, I feel like they've given us I feel like the committee and all the talking heads have given us a mulligan on that one. You know, we've worked our way back. We've fought our way back. But I just feel like it's do or die. And I feel like every game since the NIU loss has been do or die.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think to answer your question, in my opinion, I do think I think one more loss would make Notre Dame history.
I think that's fair. Like, I'm not even going to be like, I'm a Notre Dame fan and I think we should be still considered. No. It's bad enough to be having the weight around your ankle dragging Northern Illinois' loss all over town. You can't have another one. Like, you're done. You need to win these games. And you're positioned for it. You just need to go win these battles. And I want to have a healthy respect for Army, but I got to see, I think our defense is going to get behind the line of scrimmage and cause some real problems. And I need it to happen, man. That defense is on a mission, dude. Those guys are locked in, playing great ball. And I just think somebody's saying Army had almost a 14-minute drive last week. Like, no. That ain't happening. This is Notre Dame. This is in North Texas.
Yeah, and the strength of schedule, it's laughable. But I mean, it's kind of like the whole Indiana thing. We won't know until it gets real. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's
but,
man. I gotta tell you,
the
I'm glad you're bringing up this Indiana. The curiosity level for Indiana Ohio State is off the charts. It's just totally something new. Just it's cool to see a new team in the Big Ten with this intrigue. Like a lot of the country doesn't like Ryan Day and Ohio State. Like the intrigue could not be higher for me to get my eyes on this Indiana Ohio State game and see what this game looks like.
Yeah, exactly. And with the rankings and all that kind of stuff, and with them being ranked 5, I hate to root for Ohio State, but I can't really help it. I kind of hope Indiana gets blown out, but it is what it is.
What I want to see is what happens if Indiana plays Ohio State close and loses. That's what I want to see. Does Indiana stay in this bracket, but they go lower and knock out a 2-loss SEC team? That's the one I want to know. I think if it's not close, they could drop out completely or whatever. But I really want to see if it's a close, good battle and they lose, what happens with Indiana? That's one of my big questions.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what that would mean for them as far as the Big Ten. I mean, they would still have that chance. They would have a head-to-head in the Big Ten tournament. But as far as everything else goes, I mean, I think that would obviously, I think Ohio State would still get an at-large.
Yeah, it would be, because then they would have 2, but they're ranked so high now that I think that tells you how they're thought of. It's going to be really, really interesting. So I don't know, man. This is the energy's building and the anxiety's building. And like, this is exactly what you want if you're a Notre Dame fan. You have 2 weeks left and you are in complete control of your entire destiny. You don't have, if you do your job, you're going to be exactly where you want to be. That is where you want to be with 2 weeks left in the season. So all that's left is for Notre Dame to perform.
Yeah, that's all we can ask. Do our best. So, all right, man, I won't keep you. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks a lot. Really appreciate you jumping back in and give me a call the rest of the way, man. Thanks for calling me back after all this time. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Will do. Take care.
Have a good one. I like these people that pop up out of nowhere. 269 and then 716 around out show. 269, what's up?
Hey, John, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. The energy's building here, man. Notre Dame's right where you want him to be. You got 2 games left. What's on your mind?
Absolutely, man. So, I've been a lifelong Notre Dame fan, of course, diehard my whole life. I've seen the good, I've seen the bad, and I've seen the ugly. And I want to tell you, I have a feeling we're not going to have no letdown. This team is on a mission.
I like this. Cook. I like this. Keep going.
Honestly, they're still pissed off from the NIU loss. They're tired of hearing about it, which they're never going to quit hearing about it because obviously you should never lose that type of game. But, yeah, this defense is something special, and I trust Al Golden more than a lot of these defensive coordinators when it comes down to the triple option. He's like a wizard, man.
Dude, I'm counting on it. Like, I am counting on our defense, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. I am counting on them getting behind the line of scrimmage and disrupting this team a lot. And if they're not the threat passing that even Navy is, I think that could spell trouble for them. But if you get in a position where you're not on your P's and Q's and you're letting them eat up a whole quarter going on the field, you got problems.
Yeah, which I don't see that happening at all. I mean, if we can contain Navy's run game, who is a lot quicker and faster, in my opinion, after watching both teams play, I think Navy has a lot more speed. And they were getting, 2 to 4 yards a carry, if that. I mean, so they don't really bother me as much. It's Bryson Daly. I think that kid's a baller.
Yeah, it's man, I don't know. I've said it before. I want to be fair and respectful to Army. I just don't know how to gauge them, man. I don't know how to gauge them. That close game with North Texas. I already mentioned how they're number 2 in the defensive rankings, allowing just over 10 points a game, but it's against Lehigh and whatever UAB is and Rice and a Tulsa. I can't measure that the same way as like a Power 4 record. So I don't know what to expect.
Now, if we can keep him in a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, and he has to drop back, I'm telling you right now, he's throwing a couple picks.
Man.
The kid's not used to throwing.
Yeah. Get some pressure.
Throwing the football. The secondary is going to eat him alive if he has to throw the football.
Man, I would hope so. And you know what? The bigger picture here is, man, I keep waiting for one of these Notre Dame teams and one of these Notre Dame coaches to overcome all of the big game BS and the letting us down in the biggest moment and all this stuff. And Kelly had a lot of those moments. Freeman has a bunch of those moments so far. One of these teams has got to overcome it all and be the ones to say enough is enough. We're Notre Dame and we're winning this and we're doing something that matters. And I'm very, very hopeful that maybe after all these years and decades, maybe this could be that team, but they got to prove it.
Absolutely. 2 more things. One thing, when I know people want us to be very, very explosive on offense and pass the football and be this great passing team, but hear me out, right? So last year, Michigan won the national championship, and to be honest, they were not explosive passing the football. What did they have that everybody else didn't have? They had 2 dynamic running backs who you couldn't stop. And technically, that's what we have, and they had the number 1 defense in the country.
Wait.
I'm just
okay. I love what you're saying, and I loved when Michigan ran it. What was it, 28 times or something on Penn State in a row? They ran the ball and they couldn't stop it. Like it was very impressive. But I got to bring this up. Not just those running backs, but they had a really good upperclassman offensive line too, and that is something that even though Notre Dame has a couple great backs, they don't have that offensive line cranked up the way Michigan did last year, and that's going to make it a little less dynamic there. But I'm with you on everything else with that defense and everything that they had. There is some symmetry there. That's a good corollary.
But also, JJ couldn't move like Riley, so that also adds another dimension. I mean, Riley's going to have his moments where he's bad passing the ball, but they're going to get there eventually. It's coming. I feel it. I feel like if we can get into the playoffs and win 2 games, we might win the whole thing.
Ooh, you got to be in it to win it, baby. And you got to one thing at a time. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, but it's hard not to get excited about where this is all headed. I'm telling you, one of these Notre Dame teams and coaches is going to be the one that cracks the code, breaks through this glass ceiling of the 40 years of my miserable Notre Dame existence, and does some special things and kind of gets us to the next level. Anything else, my friend? I appreciate the way you're framing this.
Yeah, so this is my 4th time calling, by the way. My name is Dustin. And I just want to say, with this defense, anything is possible. They're going to keep us in every game.
Yep.
If we can somehow find a guy on offense who can make a big play in a big time game, we're going to be okay. What I want to see is Jordan Faison, Chris Mitchell, Jeremiah Love, and Darian Price all on the field at the same time.
Oh yeah.
If you can manage, we're going to be great.
Man, I like where this is headed. I like the sound of it. Hey, Dustin, thanks for giving me a call. Give me a call later in the week or after the game, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Have a good Wednesday. Man, I got nice callers. 716, you're going to finish out the show. Here's the deal. I see people talking about Golden, and teams are going to throw a bunch of money at Al Golden or Temple or whatever. Golden going to get some bags thrown at him after this season. You guys, it's kind of like I was trying to convince the LSU people when they couldn't understand why Denbrock wanted to come back to Notre Dame, and all their media was focused on is you're not going to have the same talent to work with at Notre Dame that you have down south in LSU, whatever. And they couldn't possibly understand that there would be any other reason in any coach's life that they made a decision other than just you're not going to have the same access to talent. Maybe that's not all that was important to Mike Denbrock at that point in his life. You could throw all the money you want at Al Golden. If he doesn't want to go deal with being a pain in the ass head coach, it doesn't matter. If that's not what the guy wants, it doesn't matter what you throw at him. Sometimes I feel like people miss this. Just because you throw a bag of money at somebody who already has a bag of money doesn't mean that they want to take that bag of money and all the problems that come with it. Why is this so hard to understand? Maybe Al's at a juncture in his life where he doesn't need that. He already has money. He doesn't have to deal with all the pain in the ass of everything that comes with college football and being a head coach. Let him run the defense and retire. It's what he wants to do. Quit trying to talk him back into being a full-time coach. 716, what's going on? What's up, Todd?
Hey, John, listen, a couple of things. One, I might lose you. I'm in the Buffalo area, and that's why my call dropped several times. I kept trying to call you back.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways,
Well, that's okay.
Last thing to talk about Golden. Golden coached in the Super Bowl. You don't get any higher than that. He came back to Notre Dame because he said he liked the way that Freeman ran the program, that it was more about the kids, not the football, but developing them as men. And that's what Golden wanted. I think when he went to Miami, I think he got the shaft in a lot of ways down there because he had a good team at Temple. And he went down there and things changed. He goes to the NFL. Now he says, no, I'm going to go back to college. I want these, because he sees, if you face it, in the pros, these guys all don't have etiquette and everything else. They're there because they have a physical talent, a God-given gift. Well, he comes back to college, and now he can train kids on how they should be, what they should be like in life, and he's learned this, and I think that's why he'll stay. I don't think he can, the same thing, I don't think all the money in the world we can throw at him, maybe $1 billion, but he's going to do that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want it. He wants to stay and coach young men. So the other thing I wanted to ask you, up until last week, who was the second most proficient team in the Big Ten in the passing game?
Ooh, in the passing game?
In the passing game, who, going into last week, now I haven't checked this week, but going into last week, who was the most proficient passing team?
I don't know. Is it Ohio State? The second? Is it Ohio State and Oregon? Or Oregon and Ohio State, the number 1 and 2? Who else throws the ball around enough?
Number 2 was USC.
Oh, that was going to be my third guess. Now, I think it's a mistake, though. Yeah, Todd, I'm telling you, I think it's a mistake that they have not tried to commit to the run more often. I think it's a mistake.
So anyways, yeah, my wife was just handing me something. So what was the last comment you just made? Because she asked me to move on to something.
I was saying that I'm a little surprised USC has not committed to the run game a little more than they have this year, because I genuinely think it would have helped them not lose as many games as they lost trying to throw the ball all over the yard. I just don't think it's necessary.
What did they used to be known? Right. What did they used to be known as? Tailback U.
Yeah,
they used to be tailback U.
They don't want to run the ball.
Guys they had. Right. So here's the other thing. You were talking about different stuff. So I told you before that sports is basically 90% mental. So when you mentally are locked in, you can play fast because you know what you have to do. That's our defense right now, playing fast, well-oiled machine. Now, here's the other statement I'm going to make to you. You've never seen these teams play. I'm old enough to, really in my 20s to watch them playing. It's in the 30s even. Pittsburgh Steelers with the Steel Curtain and the 85 Chicago Bears. Offense wins games. Defense wins championships. You shut the other team down, they can't score, you win. So if you look at it in a baseball analogy, if you have a pitching staff that doesn't allow any runs or can shut people down, you're going to win. That's the defense in baseball. It's not so much the players on the field as much as the pitching. In basketball, if you've got to shut down defense, more than likely you're going to be playing in a lot of games that are in the championship caliber in the tournament. So Notre Dame's defense right now, I think, and I'm just last week, I thought about what would the final score be. I looked at the 50 points over under. They're a 22.5-point favorite. I told my wife they're going to beat them 38-14. We should have, but we missed the field goal attempt.
Yeah.
We would have had 38. We
I think
beat them
I did.
38-14.
My prediction in Sports Illustrated was, I think, 38-13. So I was right there with you, and we were close. We were in the ballpark.
Oh, yeah. Now, this week, I'm listening to everything, and I'm listening to the guys' comments. And the truth is, yeah, you shut the quarterback down and shut him down. Our receivers should have a field day. They've never seen defensive backs like this. Everybody in college is talking, we got the best defensive backfield in the country. Then let's take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Force this guy to pass. Keep him in the third and longs, the second and longs. But the thing is even since we lost BMO, Leonard hasn't really dropped off, if you've noticed. That kid's an upcoming NFL talent.
Yeah.
He's a talent, Leonard, in the DB.
They're doing a good job.
But anyways, so last night I went back and we were watching the program. So I went back and watched a tape recording of the playoff thing. And I'm listening, and you heard when they first announced Illinois, one of the comments by one of them, I don't know if it was Berger McFarland or who it was, said, "No, that's just to help Penn State." In other words, Illinois in there because that's a good victory they had. So anyways, so then later they got in. If you watch the whole thing, remember how Galloway got in the thing and goes, "Let's compare things. Who is Indiana played or whatever?"
Yeah.
And McFarland goes, okay, let's take a look. Do they have a common opponent? Oh, look, they have UCLA. Penn State struggled against UCLA at home. He goes, and Indiana went out there and basically blew their doors off. So if you want to look at a comparison, he was saying, then towards the end of the program, I love this. So he kept harping about Indiana, Galloway did, and everything else. You know, if it's a close game, and that's when Booger said, if it's a close game, then and they lose, let's look at the common opponent. But McElroy at the end, McElroy was struggling to say stuff all night. He didn't. If you remember, he looked at Joey Galloway, and he said, "Well, why didn't you bring that point up?" Galloway says, and basically what he was telling him with his comment was, "Because you sucked all the oxygen out of the air."
Yeah,
is what he was basically saying to him. But I looked at it like this, and because I was a behemoth, asked my wife, I said, "Look, how can you take a team ranked 12th in the country and put them in the top 4? Well, they have no choice because they're a
conference leader. Yeah.
Well, they're a power five. What do they call it?
Power 4 conference.
Group of 5.
Conference
they're the group of 5. They're the group of 5 contestant, right? So I'm looking at this. I'm looking at Notre Dame winning this weekend by at least 4 touchdowns, 28 points. I don't know what the final is going to be, but I got them by 28. In my mind's eye, I see this. Now, I also see Arizona State's favored in the game against BYU. Isn't that amazing? I was saying a couple of weeks ago that I think Arizona State is going to beat them. Well, last week they got beat last week, right? So the thing is, they haven't played anybody. The only team that they've played of any caliber is SMU, and they gave SMU their first loss beginning of the season. Then SMU changed quarterbacks and has been undefeated since. So I look at that, but so here's my point about the team rankings. They're almost the same as the AP. But if you're ranking teams, right? Now see if you agree with me on this. If you're ranking teams, you say that number 1 team in the country can beat all the other 24 teams in the top 25, right? You're saying they're the best team. They could beat any team on this list 2 through 25. So now you're saying Boise State is 12th, but everybody above them should be able to beat them. Tennessee, Georgia, Ole Miss, Miami, Alabama, ND, Indiana, Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, and Oregon.
Okay.
But because they're a group of 5. Now, I always thought that when they started this playoff thing, that the 4 Power 5 conferences were going to automatically get the byes. But it's not that way. The automatic qualifiers in the power conferences aren't going to get the 4 byes. Well, if that's the case then, and Boise State has to be there, then you're saying that Boise State getting the bye and ranked the number 4 team would never get beat by anybody ranked in front of them, except the top 3.
No, I don't think
Oregon.
I don't think you can make that.
Texas.
No, I don't think that's. I don't agree with that. That's not, I don't see it that they think it that way. This is just literally the way they set up the format. They don't believe that. There's no way they believe that BYU,
I know, that's
like,
what I'm
that's
saying.
not,
The
it's just the
automatic-
format, right? Like, it's just, and then it's the draw. And then it depends on the draw. Do you play Oregon or do you play BYU? That bracket is everything.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying, because here's the deal. They're locked into this. The committee is locked into this. And how this should have been set up is this. The group of four, Power Five, automatically is going to get their champion in the playoff system. The group of five, highest ranked team will get in. We will seed them how we feel. And then they should pick the next best 7 top teams. That's how it should be. It shouldn't, because I'm like, are you serious that BYU is going to get a bye? But it's because they're locked into that. They have to do that because they can't pick a team that's second or third in the SEC. They can't pick a team that's second or third in the Big Ten, because then you're putting either 2 Big Ten or 2 SEC teams in for buys.
Yep.
And they can't do that. They can't do that. That's why Boise ended up there. I started thinking about, why are they there? Are you serious? They're saying these 11 teams in front of them are better than them. How do they end up here? Because they have no choice.
Yeah.
They have no choice in it.
That's the structure.
So anyways, yeah, that's how that works. So anyway, so looking at this, Notre Dame wins out. Now the key here is this: Penn State and Indiana.
Yeah.
Neither one of them have really played anything.
Correct.
The only win that Penn State has is against Illinois.
Yep.
Hence the comment last night, that's to appease Penn State or something like that, the comment was. Indiana hasn't really played anybody now that's really, really good, except Ohio State coming up.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you look at a common opponent, Penn State struggled at home against UCLA, and Indiana went out there and blew them off. So if Indiana is close, if they lose Ohio State by less than a touchdown, okay, less than 6 points, 6 or less, I can't see any way that you can justify Penn State being over them, because that was 2 common opponents, and Penn State struggled with them at home, and they lost the other one at home, and Indiana's on the road and loses by less than a touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's the difference how they should do it. In fact,
it's going to be interesting.
Penn State shouldn't even be there.
Yeah, they shouldn't
Penn State
even.
really shouldn't be there.
Yeah, they're getting way.
But once again, it's the Big Ten emblem. It's the Big Ten emblem.
Yeah,
but I think here's what I think: the Big 12. I think who's going to play in that championship, the Big 12, is going to be Colorado and Arizona State. I think they're the 2 teams that are going to play.
Yeah, it's
and that'll be interesting.
It's going to be a wild ride. Anything on the way out, my friend? Got a bunch of articles to write here. Got to get them logged on the SI site.
No, we just watched the games this weekend, and as we well know, everything right now is still fluid.
Yeah.
It's still fluid, and everybody want. But there are 3 ranked games this week. There's one in the top 5, of course, Indiana, Ohio State. The other one is Army, Notre Dame, and the other one is Arizona State and BYU. Those are the only 3 ranked games this weekend.
Yeah, so it's going to be.
We'll see what happens. We'll see how it plays.
It's going to be wild. Just win 2 more.
So very last thing. I told you last week that I thought Clemson was going to get upset at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh broke my heart. They let Klubnik score. They had the game. They fought all the way back. Had the lead. They blew it. I'm thinking, they're going to beat them. I knew they were going to beat them. I had that feeling. And all of a sudden, boom, he runs for that touchdown. I said, you got to be kidding me. You guys let me down. I picked you to upset them. I picked you to upset them, and you didn't.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Right, John, you have a great time.
That's unfortunate. Dabo got his joy. Hey, listen, man, I appreciate the call, Todd, and we got win 2 more games. That's it. Win them both.
That's it.
That's it.
Win the next 2 games and see where you fall.
Yep. Have a good one, buddy.
All
Thanks
right,
a lot.
care.
Take care now. I'm just not smart enough to keep up, man. I'm not trying to be any type of way. I'm literally not smart enough to be able to follow along with the lesson. I'm not smart enough. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm not smart enough. I admit it. I just can't. I'm trying to keep up. I just can't do it. All right. There's a bunch more calls. Now, what happens is when we get much past 11, we start hitting people on lunch and whatever, and then they start coming in. I got a bunch more calls. I got a schedule I got to maintain and articles I got to write, you guys. I got to end the show here. If you're on hold, man, I hope you could give me a call Friday or Saturday after the game. But we're already running 20 minutes behind, and I got a lot of articles to write. God bless you all. The energy is building in this community. Thanks for the chats. Thanks for the calls. Literally, I feel the energy building here. This is what we all waited for, is this kind of vibe and this energy. So we're going to have a fun next couple weeks, hopefully. And if we keep winning, this could be a really, really fun ride into the holiday season. So I love you guys. I love this community. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.